Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Tackle Shop Live.
Sunny day.
What up, Scott Lockoff?
A young and pretty wasn't
Dave Richardson, how you doing, Dave?
The next day,
Andy Garrett, how you doing, pal? What's happening, Mike Hayer? Mark, how you doing? Johnny Cop is in the house.
Well, I know what I feel.
Yeah, baby.
Please tell me I love
Robert Donahue. What's up, man? Hey, Tom, how you doing? Jeffrey Riddle, Scott Van Leer. What do you say, Scott? Dale Fogel stopping in saying, hey, what's up? Man, oh, man, we got a great show for you guys tonight. As always.
I woke up all soaked in sweat, with chills running down my neck.
Dale Fogel, what do you say, man? I ride in the house. Yo, fellas. Matthew Weimer, Todd McKee,
your sense of humor makes it all worthwhile. Don't make me wait.
Raymond Barton.
It's not a funny game.
Yeah, David Schottlemeyer. How are you, David? Man, we got a good show for you guys tonight. I'm Mike Acord. This is George Acord. Behind the camera is cameraman Nick.
How's it going, everybody?
We have been busting it the last couple days. We just got off of our Flounder Pounder trip. Nick missed that. But every year we go down to Delaware, and we fish the ocean for flounder. We call it our annual Flounder Pounder trip. And we get all the guys that help us out here in the shop, our pro staff, you know, all the employees that work for us. We go down, we rent a big boat, and we go out and we jig fish for flounder. And man, oh man, we have a good time. I don't know. There's some pictures out there on our social media of our catch, and we caught some big flounder, man. We had some 5-pounders and some 6-pounders.
Doormats.
And yeah, they're big.
Doormats.
I couldn't believe it, man. My first drop, I throw down, I catch a 5-pounder. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
That was a good time, man, right there. But yeah, we were bucktailing, using bucktails and gulp. That was our deal.
How far are you going out there, Mike?
Well, we started pretty close to the beach. We could see the beach pretty good, and that's why I caught my big one. It was some kind of a dump site, I think. It was concrete, and everybody was losing lures. So,
rubble. So
he decided to move because we were if we'd have stayed there much longer, we'd have been fishing with hooks and sinkers because we were running out of bucktails pretty quick. So yeah, we pulled out, and then we ran out a good 10, 12 miles anyway. We were fishing in 90 feet of water, fishing a drop off, and you could be, you'd be jigging along. As soon as you go on that drop off, you see everybody start, there's one, and we'd start catching them. And we ended up catching a good catch. Everybody brought some fish home, some nice flounder. So that was a good time. Yeah, good eating, Johnny. For sure. So that was a really good time, and it was neat to do that. Shimano brought all the equipment, so we were able to try all the new rods and the new reels that they use in saltwater that we sell here. Also, all the jigging rods that they make, and so all the guys could fish them and really understand them. So it was pretty cool for that. Patrick does a really good job. He has them all lined up, ready to go. All we got to do is put our jigs on. So that was fun. I was fishing with Stella, 4,000 Stella, and I think it was a grappler jig rod. That was fun. And then I had a Tranx 400 and a Type J Travala. That was awesome.
You went with the fancy equipment.
I did. I had some fancy stuff.
Not me.
Yeah.
I went with the entry-level tackle.
Yeah.
I fished a Travala PX. I don't know how entry-level that is, but
yeah, that's a good rod.
It's High Power X. It's actually the same. It was interesting because it's the same construction that's used on the X Prides and other High Power X rods in the Shimano lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting was I chose a light power.
Ah.
And I was fishing like 2-ounce bucktail with a light powered rod, and it was great.
Yep.
Had a great time.
It was good.
Great weather too. No waves, nice and calm. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Well, welcome everybody to Tackle Shop Live here, and as always, we appreciate you guys stopping in here. And Nick, we just want to make sure everybody goes to our Facebook page and our
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok.
Yeah.
Get on there. Don't be afraid to comment, like, share. It all helps algorithms. That's what, social media is all about, your algorithms.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I had my algorithms checked out by the doctor the other day. Said I'm doing pretty good.
Yep. So we got all that going on. Dean Resch, how you doing? Robert Standiford, how you doing, buddy? Robert Bretts, as always, man, good to see you.
You're
Five
rough on them names.
5 ounce weight on a four hook with squid. Oh yeah, well, you could do that too. Absolutely. There were some guys doing that.
You'd have been where we were fishing. You'd have been sea bass.
Yeah, the sea bass.
They'd have been calling you sea bass.
There was a lot of sea bass being caught.
So, guys, school me up a little bit. I never really went flounder fishing.
Well, you had a chance.
I know.
I mean,
But when you're doing this jigging, you're keeping it right on the bottom.
Yeah. Well, a flounder likes the bait moving. They like it scooting. That vertical jigging. And the problem we were having was there wasn't enough current to really push us along real good. So
we had the same problem that the anglers fishing the title championship had the first 2 days on the St. Lawrence. They had the current coming out of the Lake Ontario and going up to St. Lawrence, and they had the wind coming down the St. Lawrence, and it stalled out their drift. It's stalled out the current, and the fish don't like that. Well, when you can't drift on the ocean,
yeah,
the flounder don't like that.
We were drifting, but we like a little bit faster drift because what a flounder is a very aggressive fish, Nick. People don't understand it. They think they have to throw real small stuff. We were throwing 2 and 3 ounce bucktails with 5-inch grubs on the back, and then up top we were throwing a 6-inch grub on a teaser, big 6-inch grub on a teaser, and they'll eat that stuff. I mean, they pound it. They just, but you have to be scooting along. You have to have that bait kind of like scooting, kind of have it going like that, and
they're a lot like a smallmouth.
yeah, and we didn't really have that, so I was kind of throwing it out, and then I would kind of get it to swing on a swing, just like you would a smallmouth swing. I'd kind of get it on a swing, and every fish I caught was just right when it was starting to get straight up and down and just starting to swing. They would they would grab it pretty good, man, and it's a pretty good bite. It's fun. We missed a lot of fish. I lost a couple really nice ones, but that's fishing. We were getting bites the whole time, so it was fun. It was a good time. I had Caitlin, our production assistant. She was there, so she fished all day like a trooper too, Nick. You'd have been proud. I mean, she freaking stuck it out. She didn't want to get in the tournament. We do a $20 pot tournament, and we throw $20 in the bucket, and we do teams. So it'd be like you draw your name out of the hat. So it's 2 people, and it's the best eight fish between those, the best weight between eight fish. And so I put her in the pool, and she felt like she had a fish all day long because she didn't want to sit down. She was like, well, I was really planning on just catching some sun and doing some social media stuff. And she said, I said, well, you fish pretty good. She says, well, I felt bad for the other guy that I wasn't fishing,
Well, I'll tell you what, everybody comes into the shop, they see Caitlin, they see her in the shop, but she is a trooper.
Oh yeah.
SummerSlam, she's out there doing her thing.
Oh yeah.
Now with the Flounder Pounder.
She's we had her out one time out. Me and Corbin took her out in November fishing the Susquehanna River. Man, we had her bundled up, and she was a trooper, man. She stuck the whole day out. So yeah, she's a good one. She's a good one. Jamie, Steffi, how are you doing? Ed, what's going on, guys? Listen, I don't know if anybody's doing anything this weekend, but there is a great little event on the Conowinga Pool for you local guys that are listening and watching. It's the Big Bash, the Big Bass Bash down on the Conowingo. They did one a few weeks ago, and everybody loved it. And it's a big fish tournament per period, and I think they have 3 or 4 periods that you can weigh in throughout the day with your big fish, and your fish counts for that period. Plus it will count for the big fish overall. So they'll pay out 4 different periods for the big fish. I think they do first and second place, and then overall big fish payout. That's going on down at the Conowinga Pool this Saturday or Sunday. I'm sorry, this Sunday. And the weather's going to be much nicer than the last one. Last one was like 110 degrees, but they had a lot of people show up at the last one. Everybody said they had a great time. It was a neat concept. It was a neat format. So that's going on this weekend. 4:30 a.m. registration at the Peach Bottom Power Plant ramp, and the launch is at 6 a.m. and I think you fish till 3. And then they'll explain to you the periods when you get there. If you have any questions, how the whole thing works, you guys can go down there and take advantage of that. It's a good time. It's a good time. It's a good event. I think it's $60 entry fee, and they pay it all out. They have a good time with that. Frank Gal Savage, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, Frank?
Good to see you, pal. Vince Torpey, how you doing, Vince? Yeah. Vladimir from hello, Ukrainian. Oh, okay. How you doing, buddy? Our prayers are with you guys over there. Joshua Sims, how you doing, pal? Well, we got a good show tonight. We're gonna talk some stuff, and I think the first thing we want to do is talk some tackle. So at this point, we're gonna do a little tackle talk.
Yeah, baby.
All right. So we did get some new tackling this week. And we got one special thing for sure that George wants to talk about. What we got, George? It's back, boys. It's back. Let's get something going on here. Here we go. I don't know if I have anything. Yeah, the Vixen is in the house.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, the long-awaited Vixen is back in the house. The bait that everybody's been looking for and asking about for years and years. Another run has been they're doing another run of them, so we finally got a couple of them in. We got a big batch of bone color right now.
More colors to follow.
Yeah, and a couple more colors to follow. So
the Vixen, has a pretty cool history, because it was kind of like back in the day when it first was brought out. It was kind of like the first, underground secret must-have walking bait. And
yeah,
there's a lot of baits that have modeled themselves after the Vixen. And when they're copying you,
yeah,
you got it going on. And I mean, Reaction Innovations has got it going on. I mean, every bait that these guys bring to us, the fishermen, gets copied by everybody in the industry.
Absolutely.
Because their stuff is designed by major, pro touring pros, uber successful. I mean, their pro staff is, John Canada, Matt Herron, the founder of the company, won, the FLW Cup and FLW events. I don't think he won the Cup. I might be wrong on that, but he won FLW Tour events. His wife fished in the Classic. The guys that run the shop are hardcore bass heads. Let's just say if they bring it to the market, you want to fish it. Their colors.
Yeah.
Their colors alone have created industry standard colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spray grass.
They invented it. Just keep naming them.
I know.
You name their colors.
Green Pumpkin Magic. That was theirs.
It's never ending. It's never ending. So they had a topwater built that they designed many years ago, called the Vixen. And the Vixen was, it has 3 hooks on it for increased, landing rate of tournament, caught fish, because, the topwater has a history of, losing fish. These are, I don't know who breaks these hooks, but they're sharp. It's got that, that real distinctive sound. You can hear it when you're walking the bait.
They got it. They definitely different than any other noise you hear on a top water.
And they are running them again. They were out of production for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
They're running them again. They're starting to get colors in. And the guys down at Reaction got a bunch of bone in. They called us up, and they wanted to make sure we got some. So guess what? Get them while they're hot, people, because they're in the house. Bone's here now, and there's more colors that will be following. And of course, Bone, that's kind of like it. And
got to have Bone first, then you can have
a top water walking bait, Bone or something else that has a light colored belly.
Yeah.
And something dark, like a dark colored belly, or an opaque darker color.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got those 2 colors. You pretty much got it covered.
Yeah, you got like 90% of it covered. Every now and then a chartreuse belly, and every now and then a different color will do it, and you'll have a great
orange belly.
Yeah, orange belly.
You notice there's a split ring on the nose of this.
Yeah.
I can't recall if the first one had a split ring on the nose or not, to be honest with you. But I
think it did. I think it did.
I don't know. It's kind of
we got a couple of them.
It's kind of a thing. Sometimes some of the baits walk better without them, and some of the baits walk better.
It's funny. It's funny because the ones in our boat are like, they got these hook swing marks in them that almost wore completely through the plastic, because that's whether we have 3 of them, and they're just wore out completely out.
Yeah. They're old school, and I like to fish them on a heavier line. For those of you fishing them on braid, just go right to the 50. The thicker braid, they walk well. If you're fishing them on mono, go right to 15, 17. Go right to that source right there.
Yeah.
And
nice
they cast a country mile.
Mm-hmm.
They have that fish calling sound. It's a very exciting bait. We're very excited to have them back in stock.
These are not up online yet.
Yeah, they are.
Oh,
yep,
they are?
They're on our website.
Oh, they are on the website.
Yep,
yes, sir, Dennis.
Vixens have been up for many, many years.
Okay, there you have it.
Yep. So they're up on the website. We don't talk about things that aren't. So there you go. The Vixen.
Yep.
So that we're going to check that off the list. Also, stand by. My crankbaits got moved. Hold on one sec.
I'll get them.
Oh, Mike's going to get them for me. Jackal has finally gotten another shipment of blings in. So, the bling flat side from Jackal, of course, the original bling, of course, had its run. It got removed from the U.S. market, and everybody had a hard time with that, so they brought them back. They brought back all new colors, reflecting the colors that we want, the red craws and the bluegills and the shad patterns. The bling has the circuit board lip. It's got a small tinny type of a rattle to it. So blings are back. This is the second run of them we had in this year. So we're excited about the bling being back. And I made a note when they came in to bring it up to all you people on Tackle Shop Live. Speaking of back in stock, we just received a Mondo shipment of Whopper Ploppers. So we were pretty much wiped out on Whopper Ploppers. Our last shipment went quick, and then we had a delay getting this shipment in. So last couple of weeks we were down to the bones. But we are about 99% stocked on every model Whopper Plopper that they make, every size, every color. And we are happy about that. Also back in stock, another shipment of bait fuel. We were out of bait fuel for a couple of weeks. We apologize for that. We just didn't get it. We didn't get it ordered on time. It sold out real quick. The last batch was like our third shipment. It ripped out of here. So we got a healthy stock of bait fuel back in. And, for those of you that haven't tried bait fuel yet, we've had many debates on scent. Does it or does it not help? Sometimes you can really tell. Most of the times you can't. Bait fuel seems to have something going on. We've experienced, Mike and I have done a lot of bait fuel experimenting.
Yeah.
And we've experienced some definite.
We definitely seen the difference.
Seem to make a difference.
We definitely seen a difference.
And we've heard numerous testimonies from many of our customers.
And it's really weird because it's 0 cent.
Yeah, it's like
just like this.
It's like a pheromone deal.
Yeah. I don't know. It's pretty weird.
So bait fuel's back in, and so that's cool. And lastly, but not leastly, the last thing I want to mention to you on Tackle Shop Live tonight, we got some BFS Corrados back in stock.
Oh, BFS. Everybody has been bugging about the BFS. There you have it.
So a lot of people ask, what is BFS? What's that mean? It's basically, it stands for bait finesse system. It's basically light tackle casting.
Yeah.
True BFS reels, light, super light line BFS reels have super light spools. You shouldn't even put braid on them.
Yeah. Because
the tension of pulling against a snag, you can collapse the spool. Obviously these are not like that. We've been promoting the Corrado BFS and the Daiwa Tatula SV70 as really solid BFS reels, because basically you're trying to cast a lightweight, something that you would do on spinning tackle. You'll notice BFS reels have shallow spools because
6 and 8, 10-pound test maximum. How
much yardage do you need of 8-pound fluorocarbon or 10-pound braid? You don't. So there you go. And so they're back only in left hand right now. Unfortunately, we're still waiting on a shipment of righties to come back in. And it's a hot little reel. It's a high speed ratio.
Yeah.
They only make it in the extra fast gear, the 8 ratio.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, because you're
pitching little baits.
8.2. You're basically just trying to pick up slack for a hook set.
Yep.
And it'll cast a really lightweight. You're going to want to put it on a lighter weight rod. Now they're not. I think where a lot of people are being misled is that you need like really super lightweight rods. You need a rod that can cast a lightweight, because a lot of the lures and a lot of the soft plastics that you're fishing are like what you would fish on a spinning reel. So you're not fishing that heavy, but you need a little backbone too. So I know there's a couple companies with specific BFS rods, but I'm here to tell you, if you can find a nice 2-power or medium with a lighter tip, or like I know Shimano makes a BFS rod in their Zodius series.
Yeah.
Loomis has a series of 2-power rods like the 842, the 782. Those rods will work well. I'm sure every other manufacturer has rods like that.
It depends on what you're going to do. There's BFS, finesse fishing with a bait caster. You're going to do soft plastics, and that's going to take a certain type of BFS rod or a light tapered rod. But then there's, guys are going to use them for small little bitty crankbaits. And I think this thing's really going to evolve over time. And then there's companies that are going to be bringing out some different type of actions. We've seen some different stuff at ICAST and did some reviews on it on our website. So you can see those on there.
Yeah. I think the thing with the BFS that,
it's not one way. I think it's evolving in the United States.
Like if you're going to throw a crankbait on a BFS rig, we're talking about little micro cranks.
Yeah.
You're not casting these things real far. The spools don't hold a lot of line.
No.
but yet you can throw, a little micro crank, or I know a guy that used to be a big time rod and reel designer in the industry who has gotten into hardcore trout fishing for like great big brownies and all kinds of big trout. And he's fishing little jerk baits.
Yeah.
And he does it all with casting tackle. He does it all with BFS tackle. Yeah. Occasionally we'll even have some JDM BFS rods here. I know we had a little run of destroyers in here that were BFS. But anyways, if you're interested in that,
it's definitely gonna be starting here in the United States. It's just getting started.
I don't see it going to that true like micro light setting.
I don't know.
Something a little more versatile.
Yeah, I don't know. I
was going to ask you guys, do you see this kind of deal replacing spinning reels?
No. Absolutely not.
Well,
not even close.
There's going to be people like George said, that fellow that was trout fishing with a baitcaster. There's going to be people that want just for the challenge of bait casting with light equipment or the fun of that type of thing. So there's going to be that whole realm kind of taken off in different directions over there. I think what a lot of the BFS stuff is going to be for guys who want to do like drop shotting with a casting rod, or fishing a tube on a casting rod, or just a small swim bait, a real small swim bait, a little small grub or something, or to throw around. So it's going to be fun to see how we kind of evolve with it, with all the stuff that we are going to do with it, and see where it goes. Who knows where it's going to go. But I know you're going to see guys that are going to get them to throw small little crankbaits around and small top waters, and they're just going to like enjoy just throwing a bait caster with light line. So I think you'll see that. Is that it, George? Is that all you have?
I also wanted to tell you guys that we had a major run on the new colors of Baby Z2. It's prime time, North Country, smallmouth drop shot season, and the Baby Z2 is a major player. I mean, we saw Dustin Cannell just tear up some Cayuga bass last week on it. We've been watching for weeks now, all these big smallmouth tournaments, and this thing is in play every day. So they came out with some new colors, and the one color which, they had a little bit of a typo, whatever, they called it sour pickle. The packaging says it's the juice, but it's the green pumpkin chartreuse belly. That color we talked about it on our last show. They were gone the next morning. That color went.
It's a phenomenal.
That color went viral.
It's a phenomenal St. Lawrence color, smallmouth, Finger Lakes, Clearwater. I don't know what they think it is, but they freaking eat that thing.
So we just got another major shipment of these in. Our Strike King was able to
hook us up.
We called them, explained our situation, and they got a pretty big box of these bad boys out to us. So that color's back in stock. There's some other new colors. The Morning Dawn color is sold out currently, but we have a lot of the other colors in stock. So I wanted to update you on the juice.
Yeah. Russell Fuller, how you doing, buddy? There was a question up here from, let me see if I can find it here real quick. Vince, about a big major tournament down on the Northeast River. That is going to be the Bass Open in the first part of September. I think it's the 8th through the 11th or something like that. So that's the Bass Northern Open Series. That's the big tournament's going to go on down there. I wanted to say hi to Jerry. Hi, Jerry, my next door neighbor. She watches every show. Big time fan of Tackle Shop Live. I go over and have coffee with her. We discuss the show and have a good old time doing that, George.
Yeah.
She's a big fan.
That's tremendous.
It's unbelievable.
Getting back to that Northeast tournament, what's interesting about that's the final tournament for the Northeast division of the Bass Opens. and they will be settling some major points issues there, like who's going to qualify for this, who's going to qualify for that. There's a classic berth at stake, and the Bassmaster Live will be broadcasting that tournament. So your Bassmaster Live
feed will be there.
On the water guys will be there, the camera guys will be there, and the crew back in Arkansas will be broadcasting the tournament on live.
Oh,
so
cool.
You'll be able to follow that tournament on Bassmaster.com. You'll be able to stream it. And the last tournament in every division, they do that. They each division's last tournament, they do just like they do for the Elite Series.
Yeah.
They give it the full treatment. So that will be coming up at that tournament as well.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting.
What's up, Bill McDermott? How you doing, buddy? Keegan, I saw that fish. Holy crud, that was a gigantic monster. That was a big one. Way to go, brother. So yeah. I don't have anything else on new tackle.
No, we're good there, but I do have some interesting tidbits from across the country.
Tidbits across the country?
Interesting tidbits from across the country.
Ooh, is that a new segue?
No, but it's some interesting tidbits from across the country.
And now,
some
interesting tidbits across the country with George Acord.
Yeah, we're gonna go sit by the fire here and tell some stories.
Sit by the fire. Drink some coffee.
Yeah, I mean, we might have a beverage and sit by, just kind of in your mind, just kind of paint that picture. You're sitting by the fire, crackling. I don't know why you do that in the summer, but it sounds cool.
I feel like singing Christmas carols.
So I just read this on Bass Blaster. That big, giant 8'10" New York State record smallmouth from Cayuga.
Yeah.
Was just caught again.
Good gosh. Holy
now,
mackerel.
I have proof.
Now, how do you know it's the same fish?
Well, the pictures, it has very distinctive markings. Okay. So I have proof that catch and relief works because they caught this fish again. And also, not all fish that reach epic size and age are smart, because this one's not. So this fish was released about 10 miles from where it was originally caught.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just caught in the same stretch where it was originally caught.
Wow.
That's something.
So it cruised back down.
Wow.
Back to the hood, hanging out with all of its boys.
But George, question for you.
I'm not done yet.
All right.
And that fish ate the exact same bait that it ate the first time it was caught.
Jeez.
A Berkeley flat-nosed minnow on a drop shot.
How the hell did that thing get that big?
So this bad boy's got a little home turf, and he's got a little bit of a, he's got a little habit.
He's got a problem.
He's got a max scent habit. He's up to like 2 bags a day. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
But here's my question with that fish. That weighed what when the first guy caught it? 810.
810.
Did they say if it weighed less or more?
Couple ounces less.
2 ounces
Yeah.
less.
Yep.
Okay.
It was a little later into the
I mean, come on.
So if you want to go up there and catch
or
it
the
right
scale
now-
could have been off.
Well, yeah. I mean, I could have
weighed more.
I could have been, whatever. I could have been anything.
So George, if you want to go catch that fish right now, what do you need to throw?
You need to throw a Berkeley Maxent flat-nosed minnow.
You'll catch an 8-pounder on Cayuga.
You'll catch the 8-pounder. He probably is already back at the house saying, "Come on."
Bring it.
So that was pretty cool. That
is cool.
I read
man.
that courtesy of the Bass Blaster tonight.
That is cool. So actually, I did see the pictures of that, Nick. I was just kind of playing along there. But,
yeah.
and the markings are like, you could tell it's the same damn fish. But the picture shows like in the belly of this thing, it has something in it, like a big bluegill, a couple big bluegills or something in it. I don't know. It's like these big bumps in its belly, so it's definitely eating good.
It's just amazing.
It looked
to
like
me.
it ate like 2 baby ducks.
Yeah, I mean, it's
George's
big.
news of how far it traveled to get back that same stretch is pretty amazing.
Well, that's actually been proven time and time and time again since the early 90s. Was interesting study done by the Maryland DNR on Chesapeake Bay largemouth that were tagged with radio tags and tracked. And the one guy's tag lasted about a year longer than it should have. So they tracked the hell out of that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they figured some of the movements that it made were because it was recaptured in a tournament.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like they would check it on 1 week, and then the next week it would be, let's say it was in Haverty Grace. The next week it was in the Elk River somewhere. But these fish covered some turf. I mean, they would swim from the Elk River back to Haverty Grace, over to the northeast, up into Susquehanna. They were covering some distance. And those tests have been done over and over. There's study after study after study after study. And really, our river smallmouth travel
Tremendous distance.
Ungodly distances.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, we had a guy that turned in a tag. This was before the internet. He turned a tag number. He didn't take the tag out of the fish, but he recorded the number of a smallmouth that he caught kind of local here. And the Fish Commission finally got back to us, and that fish was tagged 75 miles away in another river. And it swam down that river to the Susquehanna and down to Susquehanna. So, you know, it's not unusual, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
They do go huge distances.
That fish was captured.
It's funny,
weighed in a tournament, released, and made its way approximately 10 miles back down the lake to its area that it likes.
Yeah.
Probably a nice neighborhood, you know.
Yeah.
You know, neighbors were quiet. Everything was cool.
Love it.
I like what George put here. For every 10 miles, they lose 2 ounces.
Yeah.
So there you go.
There you go. Right. That's right.
All you people living in Texas, or if you visit Texas, do not, I repeat, do not wade barefooted in East Texas right now. There is an outbreak of Australian red claw crawfish. I picked this up originally on a piece on the Fishing Wire, and then again on Bass Blaster. He had a picture of one of these dogs, and I'm talking a 2-pound crawfish.
Lobsters.
They grow up to 2 pounds, and they will reproduce up to 5 times a year, with each brood in the 1,000 egg class.
Jeez.
So one mating couple can produce approximately 5,000 eggs per season.
Man.
And they have a very distinct blue coloration on their claws, very blue. And the left claw is bigger than the right claw, and the outer edge of it has a lot of bright red on it.
Hey, Nick, can you run back to the Zoom wall and grab me every sapphire blue chunk that's over there?
We got to make our own bait. One claw is bigger than the other.
Yeah.
So what you're telling us, George, is there's going to be some humongous bass in them lakes here shortly.
Yeah, the other thing about that crawfish is it has a very distinct set of 4 ridges on top of its head.
Huh.
Kind of looks a little bit, I saw a picture of it, kind of looks a little bit like Predator. So if you see a Predator-looking 2-pound crawfish with a big left claw, you might want to get back up on dry land.
Man, I wonder about crawfish boils, man. It might be a new delicacy in Texas.
Yeah, you start ordering your crawfish by the half dozen.
Yeah, right.
And then
half dozen 2-pounders, please.
And then finally, if you are in Texas and you do see that, please call the Texas Parks and Wildlife Service, because they'd like to do something about it. And knowing them, they will. And the last thing I have for you is to be filed under the heading of how tough is your fishery? So for all the people that I've been talking to the last couple weeks that have been struggling, let me give you some perspective. Bob Logan won the BFL on the Ohio River out of Tanner's Creek last week with a 4-fish bag that weighed 9.2 pounds. And he won it flipping a Reaction Innovation Smalley Beaver.
Smalley Beaver.
He cashed $4,498. And Bob's won several tournaments on that river. So the next time you're out fishing around and you're saying how tough your fishery is, just remember, you do not fish on the Ohio River.
I fished not on the Ohio, but I fished out that way. All those rivers are very, very difficult out there. I fished the Monongahela. And
the locals call that the Mon.
The Mon, yeah. And that was a very, very tough fishery. Lots and lots. So we had a federation divisional tournament out there, and a lot of people, like over 3/4 of the field, didn't have a limit. It was a lot of 3-fish and 4-fish bags, maybe even 2. A lot of people blanked. It was horrible.
I got a news flash for you, fella.
Mm.
That part of the country
is
on a major upswing.
Really?
Grass.
I know. The grass was starting when I was there.
Grass.
And the funny thing about that tournament, Nick, was I went out and practiced. George couldn't go with me because he was practicing a big tournament, and he took my dad, and they went. I think he went up north or something.
We were on Champlain.
Yeah, they went to Champlain.
We had a whatever they call it now. Back then it was called the Everstart. I think now it's called the Toyota Series.
Yeah, he was fishing a tournament up there. So I took my jet boat and I went up there, and I just wanted to see the place because I was never there before. So I was bebopping around, and I did my first lock ever, and locked through this lock, and that was like traumatic. Did you ever do that, Nick?
Yeah, I did down in Florida.
That's traumatic.
Yeah, it is.
If you're by yourself, like the only one in the boat, the only one in the lock, and I'm asking some guy what I need to do, and he said, tie off on that thing. So I tied off. He said, not that thing. He said, that's the one that's going to pull your boat underwater. Yeah. That sliding thing over there. I mean, he was yelling us, giving me hell.
That would go bad for you.
They would, yeah. I mean, I didn't know. Anyway, it was very traumatic for me. But I locked through, and I run up, and I'm running up through there, and I look on this bank, and I'm like, man, damn, that looks like grass over there. So I go over and make a turn, and I look at this grass. I'm fishing it, and I see it on an inside edge of this grass. So I go on the inside edge of this grass. I'm throwing this bait. I forget who's the guy who told me to throw that thing.
I don't know. You told me that you came up with it on your own.
I might have.
Oh,
I might have.
The truth has finally come out.
Yeah.
That's why there's no statute of limit of that's why there's no statute of limitations on murder, because eventually you're going to let something slip.
I don't think I ever said that. I said that this is what I was throwing. I never said that somebody told me. But anyway, I was throwing a cinnamon. Look, this is big down there on the Monongahela. This is a big bait. It's the Zoom ultravide speed crawl in cinnamon purple. And then I put a 3/0 offset hook on it and fished it like a horny toad.
Really?
And I am telling you, man, I got on the inside edge of this thing, and I start down this, and I caught like 25 bass going down through. Now, they weren't big. The biggest one was maybe 2 pounds. But I'm thinking to myself, why is everybody saying this place is so tough? I mean, I had a great day of fishing. I mean, I freaking killed them. And as I got down to the end, and I started to get back across this big matted thing, there was 2 guys that were working up from the bridge up towards me, and I pull out, and I kind of start going away from them, and they start yelling at me, hey, come here, So I go over to him, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? He says,
you didn't hear no banjo music, did you?
No, I didn't. But I tell you, I was right in the city. I was just outside the city of Morgantown. That's a good city, man. We have a good time there. And you're like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, what, man? I'm just fishing. He's like, no, nobody catches fish like that on this river. We saw you catch 15 or 20 fish come down through. I said, yeah, I was just coming down through here. I mean, I don't know. What was I doing something wrong? He said, no. We got to know what you're doing. We got a tournament here tomorrow night. And I'm like, oh, okay. I said, come here. I'll show you what we're doing. And I threw some
Carolina rigging up,
threw some baits to him, and then we got to talking, and he's like, oh yeah. I said, well, I got a tackle shop back in Lancaster, I said, just give me a call. I gave him my card, and I said, give me a call. I'll send some to you. And sure as shit, when I got home, they called me, and I shipped some down. And I said, no, just call me back and let me know how you do in tournament. They never called me.
That means they didn't catch anything.
Probably they were
That
like,
was pretty good though, Mike. You were on them.
I was on them. So I went back for the tournament, and I thought, man, I got this licked. I go back and check this grass bed, and I didn't know if I could get my brothers because I had the skeeter then. I had my jet boat. I didn't know if I can get it inside there. So I wanted to see if I get inside. So in practice, I went inside there, made a couple casts, caught 2 or 3, and when I was out of there, I said, I don't need to fish that anymore. The rest, that was what day 1 of practice. Well, because of, the story is on the Monongahela, they don't use the locks anymore. They used to use them every day for the coal mining, but they don't do it. They only do coal like once a month now down there and put it in with barges, and they don't run the locks.
I bet you they were running them locks when Trump was in office.
They actually shut it down. They're actually shut down now. They don't even, you can't even lock through now. But anyway, because of all the locking going on for this tournament, everybody fishing this tournament, these rocks were running constantly. It drained that freaking pool. So the first day of the tournament, I'm like, I got this freaking guy, right? I got this football player from Ohio State. He's a lineman. Freaking guy's gigantic. He's got hands as big as this computer screen right here. And he says, well, what are we doing? And I said, well, we're going to go down here. And I said, we're going to fish this grass. And he's like, okay. So we get down there. I get on the inside, and I'm boating the hell out of this guy because it's a little strip. And I'm going down through there, and I'm fishing, and I'm not getting bit. I'm nothing. I mean, I'm fishing the whole thing. He's fishing. He's not catching anything. I'm flipping in the grass thinking, well, because I noticed now the water's way down. And I'm flipping over in the grass. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on here. Fish pulled out. Well, down on the end where this little place was, you could get through because it wasn't as thick. There was 3 or 4 boats down there, and they were freaking stoning them down there. All those fish pulled down and pulled out through this little thinner patch of grass. And then we went on the outside of them, fished around a little bit. I think I caught one, and he caught 1 or 2. They were busting out there.
That sucks how that works.
I was so heartbroken, man. I was so heartbroken. So we fished there. Anyway, long story short, I came in second in that tournament. And
so George, you're saying it's getting better out there. So you're telling me the Classic's going to be out in 3 Rivers again?
I don't know. It's set up for the Classic. I mean, that place is set up for, that kind of an event because it's a city. But
it's a cool place.
There is like most places around the world that or around the country that have bass heads and fisheries like that. There's some competitive circuits that run out there, and there's a very long-standing circuit that fishes, out of Pittsburgh, so you can run all 3 rivers. And I think they fish a lot. I think they fish like 15, 20 tournaments a year, and their weights are climbing. They're catching a lot. They're seeing a big increase in the size and the numbers of fish. And a lot of it has to do with the water's cleaning up, the grass is there. So yeah, and I have that on the authority of some people that actually fish those tournaments and do pretty well on them. So that is, I don't know how we got sidetracked onto that. Oh, we were talking about Bob Logan. Anyways,
he won.
The thing about that tournament that was interesting, that BFL on the Ohio River, the lunker was 4.3. And Bob won the tournament with 9.2. So that was a tough one, right? So that is your strange and true stories that you're going to have for this week. And, of course, I'll scour the universe for some more for next week.
All right.
This week was ripe for the picking. I even turned down a few good stories.
Good stuff, George.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
So now, Mikey boy, I think we should talk a little bit about these couple tournaments that are going to go on, because I think they're going to segue nicely into a couple techniques that we want to revisit.
Yeah, absolutely. We call this segment of our show Tournament Talk.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we've been watching. I feel like we've been streaming tournaments since Saturday.
Well, today was challenging because we had this second day of qualifying for Group A in the Major League Fishing Title Championship.
Yeah.
And we had day one of the Elite on Oahe.
Yeah.
Which is in South Dakota.
Yeah.
So, we had to watch them both.
George, where was the one for Major League Fishing? Where's that at?
St. Lawrence.
St. Lawrence, yeah.
Out of
our boy Great Buck's up there fishing.
Out of Messina. And they're not allowed on the lake. So they have about 100 miles of river.
I saw Gray all the way down.
Oh, he went.
He was all the way at the end, baby.
He said, I'm going to send it, Bobby.
He did, man. He went all the way down there.
He ran 80 to 90 miles down there.
God, that's crazy.
And then you get down there and you got to fill up. And boy, let me tell you, I was watching them pumping up those boats. And I saw the cameraman, he had to get a shot of the pump price.
Yeah.
Woo!
Was
Daddy.
it $6?
$5.79 on the Main River.
Holy hell, man! Oh man,
I'm just telling you right now, man. You burn 50 gallons and then load her back up again.
Yeah,
dude, you better cash a big check.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that tournament is called the Major League Fishing Title Championship. The title is what they call it. It used to be called the FLW Cup. But now it's called the Major League Fishing Title Championship. $200,000 to first place. When they first came in and formed their company, I believe their championship was still called the FLW Cup, and it paid $300,000. So
I think
they've modified their pricing structure.
Isn't this the one that Bobby Lane won last year?
No. That was the Red Crest, which is the Bass Pro Tour.
I'm so confused.
Division. Well, let me break it down for you.
No, don't do it again.
Major League Fishing.
I know.
Their top level is called the Bass Pro Tour. You have to earn your way into it's kind of like their version of the Elite Series, where you have to earn your way into that. And then they have what used to be the FLW Tour, which is now called the Major League Fishing Tackle Warehouse Big Five, weigh them in, catch them and weigh them in tour.
Yeah.
And the last part may or may not be in the title.
Tackle Warehouse.
It's the Major League Fishing Big Five Tackle Warehouse Tour. Weigh them in and bring them to the scale.
George,
tour.
That one right there. That one. It's underneath the other. Do you have to qualify for that one too, or no?
No.
Okay.
You can now through the. Well, no, you do have to qualify for that. You don't have to qualify for the one that's under that, which is the Toyota Series. So the Toyota Series will qualify you for the big name, which will then qualify you for the Bass Pro Tour. So it's a very competitive circuit. I mean, last week we followed them on Cayuga, and it was awesome. This week we're following them on the St. Lawrence River, and it's awesome. And it's also they have this week, and I encourage you all to watch this because they have Rob Newell, who's the on-the-water camera or roving reporter. And this week, he has Jared Lintner riding with him. And yesterday...
Really? Jared Lintner?
Yesterday, Jared Lintner busted out some knowledge that I rewound it, man. I was like, I got to see that again. And they were talking about, because obviously, we've talked about the North Tour, the North Swing, Northern Swing. We've been talking about that because we learn from these things.
Yeah.
We learned from this kind of open water fishing.
Yeah.
Well, we learned. So they had a northwest wind pushing against the natural flow of the river, which is southwest, because the St. Lawrence River flows basically from south to north.
Yeah,
and it was stalling that current up. So Jared Lintner, and I'm sure the guys fishing the tournament are going to send him hate mail for busting out this secret. He showed us how they were rigging their drop shot to combat this slacked current. They were fishing 24 to 30-inch leaders on their drop shot. Because when he said, as that current slackens, those fish tend to move around a little more and come up off the bottom a little more. And that was the key for those guys that were really cracking them. So I wrote it down here so I didn't forget it.
Damn.
Long leader on your drop shot in a slower than normal current.
Wind against the tide.
Now, we fish a river, and I'm sure many of you that watch us fish rivers in your part of the country. And, you know, it's no secret when you get a wind against the current,
It's tough as nails.
especially, you know, depending on the season, like summer and fall, particularly summer, it can really jack you up.
Oh yeah.
And we do things to combat it.
Yeah.
We have things that we go into mode on that.
Yeah.
To salvage that day.
We fish a lot faster.
But
you know, it's
this
interesting.
is interesting.
That tip that you just got, George, and you gave out.
I got it from Jared Lintner.
That is awesome. And that's why, you know, if you do, it's so critical to watch these lives because these guys that fish, they do give out some really good information on all these lives.
Well, I mean, you know, that's really why we all, you know, are so, we're lucky. I mean, when I was doing when I was hardcore tournament guy, there was no internet. You know, we read. That was it. There was no blogs. There was no Tackle Shop Live. There was no live tournament coverage. There was Bass Times, Bassmaster Magazine.
Yeah.
There was seminars.
Yeah.
Boat shows.
And then networking. Networking was really helped a lot.
So now we have the same thing, only we have it in your face 24/7. And a lot of, you'll notice on this show, we have a lot of spin-off topics that are as a result of watching these tournaments, like drop shotting, like the Demiki rig, you know, or things of that nature. The small ball head, jig head, small swim bait that cannot be over stressed how vitally important it is to, and you watch these tournaments, man. I mean, it is a deal.
Yeah.
All these things are a deal. So that, Mike and cameraman Nick, that's on the St. Lawrence. Now, Group A is settled. Spencer Shuffield won it. So now he goes and he doesn't have to fish the knockout round on Saturday. Tomorrow, Group B settles their top 10.
And then the knockout round.
And then the knockout round is on Saturday.
And then the championship is on Sunday. The top 10 fish Sunday.
So Spencer Shuffield.
He's having a hell this year, man.
And here's another thing that's interesting,
that
guys.
That freaking guy can catch him.
Oh, he's a stud. I wonder if he gets tired of catching fish.
I don't know. I saw his winnings were like I think he won over $1 million.
Yeah, he's his dad was Ron Shuffield.
Ron Shuffield.
Yeah. He was kick ass.
He was really good.
He was kick ass.
Yeah, his dad, big time, man.
He wore those shorts like Jim or Biffle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was back in the day.
His dad, when his dad was fishing on tournament day, one thing you saw on the front deck of his boat from blast off to weigh in, a Mountain Dew.
Really?
My man pioneered the Mountain Dew. The G-Man thinks he's all Mr. Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
You got nothing.
You got to get back to Mr. Shuffield, give him some props up.
He did. Yeah.
Hey, we're very fortunate on Tackle Shop Live to live through you guys with this live footage. What are the weights like compared to having the lake open?
So they're a little lower.
Okay.
So 2 days, 40 pounds, all the ways down to 8th place. Nothing to sneeze at.
No.
I mean,
20 pounds a day.
I didn't say it wasn't good. I said it was a little lower than having the lake open.
It wasn't 25 pounds, 24 pounds.
And guess what? Both days, they could have fished the lake because the wind wasn't bad.
Oh, my God.
5 to 10. Evan Barnes is in 10th place, qualified at a Group A with 37 pounds, 6 ounces. So, I mean, they're very good quality weights. Now, you're in that time of year. The water temperature is 72 to 75 on the St. Lawrence right now. And you're in that time of the year when these fish are starting to transition to the deep summer haunts. There's still a bunch of fish shallow, but they're now starting. They're finally done
Locking
spawning.
in.
They're finally moving out. They're finally going out onto the main river shoals.
40-50.
The pushes,
40-50,
the
baby.
pushes and the side eddies on the islands. That's the deal on that river. And so watch that, and you will see drop shotting on offshore shoals primarily. You'll see Carolina rigging.
Hey, Carolina rigged the hell out of that river.
Our good friend GDP loves the Carolina rig up there. And yeah, so we're gonna talk about that.
And the elites started today
They did.
in Idaho.
No, but you're close.
Oh, not Idaho.
No,
Utah.
you're circling it.
Really?
Yeah.
Iowa.
Go higher.
Nope, you're a little too far east.
North Dakota.
Well, close.
South Dakota.
South Dakota.
There we go. There we go. We're out there somewhere.
You're a geographical wizard, brah.
I circled it.
So out there, Lake Oahe, the largest man-made lake in the United States.
And by the way, if anybody wants to go, 23 hours.
Hammer time?
Drive. 23 hours.
I don't want to go.
I don't either.
Largest man-made lake.
Largest man-made lake in the U.S.
How long?
Did you see there's not one tree anywhere out there?
It's 185 miles long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, refuel.
So they're only allowed to fish in South Dakota. Now, would you like any more really cool, interesting facts about this tournament?
Hell yeah.
There's 2 time zones on this lake that the anglers are crossing in and out of.
Oh, hell.
How does that work?
Hey, you know
that's like if
know
you're
those
an
guys-
hour late.
You know those guys that write in, right on their hand what they're supposed to because they don't want to forget. I could see them having like, daylight savings, South Dakota, North Dakota, time zone A, time zone B, Central, Mountain Time.
So, when you cross a time zone or like daylight savings, some of your GPS units auto adjust. Some of them don't.
Yeah. You wouldn't want your watch. Your watch would probably go freaky crazy.
Yeah, probably catch fire and burn my wrist.
And your phone will auto adjust too. So you better know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say
screw that.
Now I've tried to watch weigh-in today, but
I'm going to stay in the Pacific.
I missed a lot of it.
Or Mountain Time Zone. So what time zones are they?
Central
and Mountain,
CST and MST. Yeah.
I thought that. I didn't know if it was specific time in there somewhere or not.
Yeah, so live I think starts 9 o'clock our time.
Top of the Colorados, I think.
And tomorrow they may or may not fish because one thing about a flat state with no trees, the wind starts and it's just like you slowly turning your fan up.
Yeah, screw that. There's no trees up there. Zero.
There's buffaloes.
Yeah, and wild horses.
They're seeing buffaloes. They're catching big walleyes. They're catching carp.
Catfish. I saw one guy catch a catfish.
John Cox is fishing shallow again. Everybody else is in the middle of the lake. These fish are pelagic. There's no grass in the lake. There's no wood. There's just some rock.
They just move around.
They just roll with the bait.
Yeah.
And they roll with the bait.
I heard the one guy say that, he fishes that kind of stuff. And he said that when you're fishing that kind of fish, you got to fish slow and you got to cover a lot of water.
That's tough to do both.
Yeah. That's what they're doing.
George, you brought up something that was very interesting. One of the guys was weighing in and he goes, "This is a very cool lake because there's different bait here that we're not used to fishing. I didn't know what he meant by that. Maybe.
Well, I don't know all the bait that they have out there. I did not prepare properly for that question. I know Davey Height was talking about the herring.
Oh, herring.
And the herring out there are, I don't know if they're on that same steroid that Tatiste is taking.
They're big.
But they start at like 7 inches.
Wow.
So the big boys get on them big herring. That's one whole situation.
There's no topwater biter. Nobody's doing topwater. There's none of that going on.
I mean, those fish are just they're down deep, but not too deep. They roam around.
Yeah, they're fishing five. A lot of guys are fishing 5 to 15. Or John Cox fishing 5 to 10. Everybody else fishing 10 to 15.
Everybody else is fishing suspended fish.
Yeah,
they're live scoping. They're fishing suspended fish. Gussie has 19.9. He's in 4th place. He's doing what he calls mopping, which is basically a Damiki rig that you just kind of pendulum down through the fish. Interesting that something I think, and I've noticed this on the St. Lawrence River. Interesting thing for you to file away for your next time that you're in really super clear water. The smallmouth will congregate in the shade of your boat. So a lot of these guys are fishing right underneath their boat. You see that a lot on the Thousand Islands still. It's like your fish are always underneath your boat.
Well, that's interesting. That played up at Champlain a couple tournaments ago where guys were fishing under those sailboats.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, they love them boats. That's a lake known for that. Fishing underneath sailboats.
You were talking about John Cox.
Absolutely.
I didn't get to watch a lot of the tournament, but when I did watch it, he lost a great big one.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. He lost a big one. He is actually targeting smallies that are hanging with carp. So last week we had
another freaking carp chucker.
Last week
what the hell is going on here, man?
Last week
this is crazy.
Last week we had carp riding on the backs of smallmouth.
I know. This is nuts.
And Cox has carp hanging in the smallmouth hanging in the shadows of carp.
It's crazy.
And a local stick actually made it to the Classic through the Federation that they're using for information. He said that out there, a big deal is the smallies will do the same thing they do out here on this river.
Follow them around.
They'll follow them around.
Clean up after them.
Behind them as the carp kind of root around.
Yeah. They kick up crayfish and stuff. Yeah.
They kind of kick stuff out and the smallies.
That's a Susquehanna thing. We fish carp in the Susquehanna, around them, especially this time of year. When the water's clear.
Viewers, take that in.
I'm telling you.
Tidbit right there.
We do. We fish around carp and this time of year when it's low and clear, those freaking carp are up their feet. You'll see mud trails. You're like, what the hell's that? You go over there and then if you really watch, you'll see the smallmouth out on the outside edge and when they kick something up, they dive down. What the hell is the name of that show that we watched that video? This goes back. This goes way back. If you can find it. I don't know if you can even find it. It was Lefty Cray.
Oh, it was Flip Pallet.
And
Lefty Cray fishing with Bob Klauser.
On the North Branch with fly rods fishing the carp pattern. And the footage from back end.
They were actually fishing for carp, though.
They were fishing for carp.
And they were catching smallmouth.
Yeah, but the footage from back then is unbelievable. They put the guys out up on the high bank, Nick, and they would videotape this clear water, and you'd see the black smallmouth on the outside edge, and you would see them when a crayfish would bolt out because they didn't have underwater cameras or anything like that. You'd see these smallmouth dart over and grab them.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, it does blow my mind a little bit because last week we talked about Dustin Cannell.
Yeah.
And, Mike, you and I kind of thought, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I know.
But now
it's coming to be true. I know.
Well,
what the hell, man?
The smallmouth trailing the carp is a 100% legit deal.
That is.
And it's all over the place.
That is.
It's all wherever there is
big schools of carp.
Carp up shallow that are
and smallies.
The carp's just doing his thing. He's just kind of sniffing around. Maybe I'll find a little something over here.
And if you don't think
the smallies are trailing them in that little you might call it a mud trail. They're right on the edge of that, and they're taking advantage of a crawfish getting kicked out or
Well, the thing about it
what
is,
have you.
a carp, when they're doing that, is very aggressive. You catch a lot of carp in the mouth, with a Senko, with I remember just a great thing that I saw. I was wading fishing a creek that me and George used to wade all the time, and I was throwing a little Rebel weed crawl, and I threw it out. I was fishing next to this little undercut bank, and this carp comes shooting out and starts chasing my bait. And I'm reeling it faster and faster. I didn't want to catch it. I was smallmouth fishing, and I'm reeling it faster and faster. And that thing came up and just grabbed it. And it was a game on. It wasn't a big carp, but it was like that. Very, very aggressive on a crayfish. So they, when they're in that mode right there, they'll eat them crayfish just as quick as anything. But if one gets away, there's a smallmouth there waiting on it.
Yeah, true that.
Yep.
So that's one of the things that's going on there at Oahe. Cox is up on the shallows. He's kind of winding a swim bait. One of his things he's doing. He's winding the little boot foot swim bait.
Yeah.
One of the things that we're going to kind of revisit briefly tonight.
Yep.
I was watching Palaniuk today, and he was out, suspended fish. He was casting a drop shot and reeling it and working it with his rod through the fish, not allowing it to hit the bottom. It's like a suspended drop shot presentation.
Didn't work too well for him.
He had 4 fish.
Should have got the old swim bait out.
He lost a couple fish. And I mean, he was on good fish. He lost a couple fish. He had 4 fish. They're
what'd he weigh?
He had like 10 pounds, something 9-10 pounds. It wasn't much.
Yeah.
But you know what else is interesting, George? So David Mullins, they had a camera on him, and he was flipping his, I don't know if he was using a drop shot, whatever. He said, like, I'm seeing big fish. They will not bite anything. Finally, he caught one. It might have been 3-4 pounds. It was a nice fish.
Yeah.
I don't know what he ended up with.
Yeah.
But he was having a real hard time getting these fish to commit to his baits.
Yeah. I mean, it just depended on where they were at, the time of day. I know the first thing this morning, there was a couple of them, man, Drew Cook, Gussie, they were cracking them.
They were fishing. Who was the guys fishing side by side?
Well, 185 miles of lake, and they're all on top of each other.
Gussie and that other guy were just side by side, and the other guy was winning most of the day. He had 16 early.
That guy told Gussie, because that's what the joke was when he came in to weigh in. Mercer said, "Look, you're too nice," and Gussie said, "Yeah, the guy did finally invite me in, and I was catching him, but then I told him what I was catching him with." So I forget what the guy's name was.
Equaled out.
Yeah, it's kind of equal.
You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. But that kid was cracking him pretty good.
Yeah. But George did have a good point. A lot of the guys that weighed in were saying, look, I had all my bites first thing in the morning, and then I didn't catch anything.
Well, at the end of the day, they caught him good.
They did.
Yeah.
Then?
Yeah, they caught him good at the end of the day. So we're gonna watch out tomorrow. That's gonna be fun. Hopefully Greg can come in with a big old 20-pound bag and get back in this game. Because the 20-pound bag's there.
They had 3 of them today.
Yeah, so
21, 10, 26, and 25, and 19.
I really feel like if he catches 20, he'll make the cut, pretty easily.
Yeah. And that 20, what Jeff or Walters, he had 20? Well, one of his fish were only 1 pound something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
He had all smallies?
I believe so. The only one I seen that had a largemouth, unless you guys seen something different, was Rick Clun. He had like a 3.5.
I only saw about 1/3 of the way in.
Yeah, he had a largemouth.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, that's interesting. We're going to keep watching it the rest of the week, and we'll see how this whole thing spins out. It's going to be fun to watch.
We got a lot going on in that world.
Yeah. And then we got the MLF we got to keep up with, so we're going to keep watching that, learning all the time watching this stuff, man. We just dissect it. It's nice because we got it on our big screen here in the showroom. So while we're out here poking around, we can ignore our customers and turn over there and just, excuse me 1 second. This is an important moment here. No, we don't do that. We would never do that, Nick.
No.
But anyway, Andre LeBrun, he's fishing with a chipmunk in a boat. That was cool as hell. He picked this chipmunk up out of the water. I think he was drowning or something. He netted it, put it in the boat, and it was in his boat all day, and he was feeding it peanuts and I saw he threw some cashews down there and some orange slices.
Hey, while George is getting some of these baits ready to talk about, Andre had a question for you guys earlier. He's going to be taking a trip to Raystown.
That was that Andre?
Yeah, I think in 5 days. You guys any tips for him?
Yeah, go past there and keep going and go to the Finger Lakes.
There you go.
No, actually, Andre, I was up a few weeks ago, and it is fishing very, very different. And if I were you, I would take a lot of Senkos, and I would take a lot of drop shot stuff, and I would take a lot of DT 16 crankbaits in shad patterns. And there is no grass on that lake anymore. I was blown away. I'm a grass fisherman on Raystown Lake, and I went there, and it took me almost 5 hours to figure out that I had no clue what I was doing. Then I went to fish the laydowns in the trees. They're fishing steep banks, cliffs, and steep banks with timber on them or just rock ledges on them, and they're fishing Senkos, and they're fishing stuff like that. So give it a whirl. You'll love it. It's a great place to fish. Really is, but it's totally different now. Speaking of swim baits, we're big giant swim bait fans, and we fish them for everything. We fish them for largemouth, we fish them for smallmouth. But this time of year, we fish them just, a lot for the smallies. It's a smallmouth thing for us right now. Covers a lot of water. There's a lot of ways to rig it. There's finesse swim baits that work really well. There's regular boot foot swim baits. There's all kinds of swim baits on the market. So we thought we would touch the base on some of the rigs that we use, how we fish them, when to throw it, when not to throw it. And we're going to hit this pretty quick here and talk to you about swim bait fishing. So what do you got, Drew?
Yeah, I think the big thing here is the time of year that we're in. I think the reason that we're kind of hung up on this topic right now is, what's going on in the tournament world, the time of year that we're in. We're kind of getting into that we're approaching that late summer, not really fall. You got like 5-6 weeks of just kind of, can be very tough fishing.
Yeah.
And, these techniques shine.
Oh, yeah.
They shine,
It's a finesse technique at the same time as you're matching the hatch.
Deadly on spotted bass.
Yeah.
They get tough. You go down to any impoundment in the southeast, south central in, September. Whew, better pack a lunch because it's going to be a tough bite. And this is a player. But the other interesting thing about this is it's a player year round.
It is. Different aspects
year round.
Yeah. Different types of swim baits. There's a lot of different swim baits out there that you can use, in the cold water. There's a lot of swim baits you can use early, big ones. You might go bigger size.
But I mean, right now it's so on right now. I mean, right now you want to get your finesse swim bait, ball head, jig head, plastic boot foot swim bait game on, and you're going to be downsizing. A lot of the places that we all fish are gizzard shad lakes.
Yeah.
And, gizzard shad, man, they're like Australian red claw crawfish. I mean, they're spawning multiple times per year. Yeah. So, it's not uncommon in late August and September to be on a body of water that has gizzards, that has got distinctly different size classes of them. With the biggest being like, I don't know, not much bigger than this.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of that. And all over the place, these things love being up on big flats. They love being up on big flats. They just kind of paddle around. They love suspending over creek channels. Go to any lake that has gizzard shad in it, or thread fins for that matter, in August and September, and idle back any creek arm and look at your graph. At the line over top of the channel, the drop off, there'll be a big long school of shad. Almost too many shad. So, this bait up on shallow flats, shallow boat docks, sloping banks, you name it. Inside edge of grass, not so much. Outside edge of grass, open water, forward. Is this not like one of the most perfect forward sonar baits that there is? There's quite possibly nothing better than this for forward sonar.
Yeah.
Arguably, you could make an argument. This could be if you were drafting a forward sonar team, this would be your number one draft pick. Because you can cast that sucker out, you can see it, and you can reel it past the fish.
Yeah.
And that's all you do.
Yeah.
But what's nice to have in your arsenal is a nice selection from, the 3-inch, right, to the 4-inch. These are Z-Man. The top bait's called the minnows. The bottom bait's a 4-inch diesel minnow. Tremendous baits. Now, you got to have the right jig heads to go with them, so you're going to need some different hook sizes. You're going to need some 1/0 hooks. You're going to need some 3/0 hooks. You'll see a big push in quality jig heads from many manufacturers with like 1/0 hooks in them. We have plenty of them here. We have, the little squadron head, the baby squadron head from Strike King. Absolutely fantastic. Whether you're fishing standard plastic or the Z-Man type TPE plastic, that collar holds fantastic. All kinds. The VMC, little minnow head. These heads are all the traditional old school ball head. It's what I reach for every time. Every time I reach for a ball head. I like a ball head with a 3/0 hook. I'll use a shaky head. I'll use my War Eagle shaky head that I like. But that's my point. You need a couple different hook sizes, depending on where you're at. You go up north, you get on them big smallies on the river, the St. Lawrence. You make sure you have a little more wire in your hook. You make sure you have something that, is visibly a little thicker. Because those fish up there will bend your hook straight.
They're bigger fish.
They'll open it up. If you have a little wire, bronze little wire, or a thin little wire, they're going to flex it open. You get a 5-pounder in that kind of current. There's all kinds. Here's the big bite baits. The little swimmer head, Gamakatsu hook.
That's important. Some of those baits now are coming through with good quality hooks on them. So
all these are.
Yeah, they're all good hooks.
All these are dirty. This is the Dirty Jigs tackle. This is their little 1/8 ounce tactical bass swim bait head.
A little bigger hook on that. That's perfect for like these a little bit fatter type baits, like the Kitech 3.3s fat series. A little bit fatter. I like that.
A little more hook.
I like a little bit more hook. And for the 4-inch diesel minnows, I like a little more hook. So we use those.
And of course, one of the greatest of all time, the Little Dipper.
Yeah. Think about that dipper.
The Little Dipper.
The thing about that dipper, that
Reaction Innovation.
I'm telling you guys right now, I am going to flat out tell you. Okay. There isn't another swim bait. All right. I fished them all, every single one.
You better watch what you say.
I fished every single one of them.
You're going to start a swim bait war.
I don't care.
Here on national television.
I fished every single one of them. I fished every single one of them.
Put you on blast.
There is not another swim bait that thumps harder than a Reaction Innovation Little Dipper. And it's totally different than anything else out there. It doesn't always work because it thumps so much. But it will call fish in from all over. You will see your rod tip. I mean to tell you, your rod tip freaking moves like this. It's unbelievable, and that's why it's so deadly. It's a chucking and winding type of thing where you're just fishing schools of fish and flats, and it's not schools of fish, but isolated fish. Like right now, we're fishing isolated, and even these guys up there, they're not.
Well, that's
fishing.
what John Cox was doing.
They're not fishing. Yeah, exactly.
He was on a flat.
Yeah, he's just going down a flat. We fishing flats where we're out here. We're just fishing big long flats. And
he was bombing,
making bomb casts,
winding,
and this
and catching fish.
I'm telling you, if they would have this up there in Idaho, I said that on purpose.
No,
I said it on purpose.
What?
I said it on purpose.
If they had that bait in Idaho, they're not allowed to sell in Idaho.
This bait up there, if those guys were throwing this bait up there, they would be smoking them on this thing. Because I'm telling you, this thing outfishes them all. Does. The thing about this bait, George, I'm gonna go in this a little bit more. I think I'm so excited about this thing.
I can tell.
Okay, think about this bait is these cuts up around this head right here. You can't really see it. You're not gonna be able to see it real good, but they have like
gill cuts.
They're gill cuts, but it's all done to make that flow of that water push this bait to where it rolls side to side. Your hook that's up on top here, facing you like that, that hook will go from here all the way over to there. It does a complete side to side flop. And this thing just rolls like crazy. And it's all this water flow that they worked on. And there's a little cup underneath the head there. It just rolls like crazy. But look at the size of it. It's the perfect finesse size. So I'm telling you, when I get it, when I guided a lot and I had people who just couldn't figure out the tube bite, or they missed a lot of fish or whatever, the Ned rig wasn't their gig, they'd snag up all the time, I'd give them one of these, just tell them to chuck it and wind it. And it's just amazing what this thing did over, how many times it saved me for that person.
So Mike, with that bait right there, what hook are you matching up with that bait?
Well, it's important to get a 3-0 shank, 3-0 hook in it. So it's a little longer shank, a little bit more gap, and it's a little bit more plastic.
Right there's a 3-0 hook.
Yeah. So it's a ball head.
You can fish any head. It can be a ball head. It can be a minnow head.
Really. I mean, really any head, but
you can do a ball head.
I like a ball head because that tapers really funky up at the head.
You can do a minnow head.
It tapers real funky at the head. So I like the minnow heads for the more squared off.
You can do any
swim baits.
Yeah.
Like if you look at I'm anal about that. I'll even cut mine. If I'm using if I have one tied on, I'll bite off a little nip in the front of the bait to more square it off, square it off on that, because I want that thing to really, really flow nice. And I think the ball head gives it the most thump. So that's just me. I mean, I am kind of crazy about that.
Well, I think the important thing to remind ourselves here is, we're focusing on the time frame that we're in.
Yeah,
the time frame that we're going to.
But we want to make sure they see all the different shapes, like this one here, George. This is different.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
you should explain this to them. This is a different. This is easy shiner, so this is different. This is a little skinnier kind of shape that you need to have, and then these fat ones. This is important too, because you might have, the need for a little bit bulkier bait. And as George was saying, you need to have a selection of these baits. You don't need a million colors. Whites and shad colors, and that's really going to cover you. But if you get into some dirty stain water situations, you want to have like this color right here, which is a sungill color. And this is a great color for your stain waters. But those shapes and sizes are very important, because like George is saying, we're fishing different size baits this time. This time of year, you have little bitty flecky stuff like this, which I'm telling you, they don't really key in on. Then you'll have the next size up. Then you'll have schools of actually the first spawn of gizzards, and they're going to be like 3, 4 inches long by now. So you have that whole thing this time of year. And I think one of the most difficult things about it is to find the right bait fish that they're keying in on, and then match these baits to that size bait fish that those fish are actually triggering on. Many times we fish in August and we find ourselves fishing around beautiful bait, but there's no fish around it.
It's the wrong size.
It's a
bait.
wrong size bait. So then you move around, and all of a sudden you notice the bait's bigger, and then you start seeing fish. So now that's what you're looking for the rest of the day, is that size bait. You can tell that by the balls on your screen, how it shows up on the return of your grasp, but also the fish just flicking. You can tell by the way they flick, and kind of see what size bait it is, and then you can kind of concentrate on those schools of bait. So,
well, I think the smaller boot foot swim bait rigged on a jig head is very, very important all the time, but it's extremely important now and as we transition into September. But I would like to discuss amongst the guys here, how do we fish it? What's our tackle? Because I think this is kind of important.
Very important.
I don't think it's got to be exactly this, and this, but I think it's, generally speaking, I think it's kind of important.
Yeah, absolutely. Very important. For my setup, George,
what are you doing, Mike?
I like a 7-1 spinning rod, medium, extra fast. Okay.
I love it.
I like a 2,500 or 3,000 size reel, no bigger. And no need, but with a good drag.
Must have a good drag.
Must have a really good drag. None of this freaking back reeling. And these guys.
You hear this stuff on live?
Look, you see this right here, Nick? This drives me freaking crazy, man.
Have you been watching the live?
Yeah.
These guys, as soon as they set the hook,
yeah,
you hear the drag, and the whole time, and not one of them is doing this. And I think they saw the show.
I think they did. I'm like, if you guys can't fit, can't respect your equipment, then you're fishing the wrong stuff. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that road. It drives me nuts.
Well,
and I like,
what kind of line?
I like 10-pound super slick Power Pro. That's just mine. Anything thin and slick that it casts nice, and you get a super long cast out of it. And then I fish a 12-foot leader of 8-pound test quality fluorocarbon.
Well, I like everything about your setup.
That's why I fish. That's what George fishes.
And I can't even.
He fishes all my stuff.
I can't even.
And I fish all his stuff.
I can't even say that there's a better combo. I think the braid is important.
Yeah.
Because you're not really setting the hook per se.
Right.
And I'd like to point out on this retrieve many, many times, and now this Oahe tournament, this is a smallmouth tournament. And many, many times with smallmouth, many times, a high percentage.
Yeah.
You're reeling your bait in, you feel the tunk, like the best jig bite ever.
Yep.
Keep reeling. That fish does not have that bait. You will turn the handle 2 to 3 more times, and you'll have that fish. If you set the hook on that jig bite, you're going to miss a very large percentage of your swim bait fish. Now, I'm going to repeat that because it's true. When you bomb this thing as far as you can, you close the bail, you start winding this thing in. I like to, if I feel it touch the bottom, I kind of pick the rod up a little bit. I pick the pace up a little bit. If I'm fishing around grass, I do the same thing. I'm trying to trace that cover or trace the bottom. So my bait's kind of coming back. It's doing its thing. It's kind of doing this. Tunk, crank, got him.
Yeah, you'll feel that second.
When you feel that tunk and you set the hook, you're going to miss a huge percentage of those fish. They don't have it.
Yeah. I can see an argument for straight 8-pound fluorocarbon for the forward-facing sonar stuff. I think you'll get a better sink rate and maybe a better control of your depth maybe with fluorocarbon. I don't know. I have to mess with that a little bit, but
I don't think so.
I just love that setup.
My setup is going to be the exact same setup you got. The only difference is I'm not quite as tall as you guys. So I'll go with a 6'10" instead of a 7'1".
Yeah, a 6'8" too. I mean,
Yeah.
we've sold it on 6'8" big time all the time.
6'8", 6'10".
I don't know what happened to me. I used to be a 6'8" nutcase, you know, and then over the years I got into that 852 medium 7'1", and I just all of a sudden now
it's all about leverage, people.
All of a sudden I'm that's what I'm fishing a lot of my stuff.
If you're going to go dig a stump out in your front yard and you got a 6-foot digging iron in your garage and an 8-foot digging iron, you're not using a 6-foot digging iron.
Yeah.
You know, and the longer rod has all upside and no downside. Cast farther. When you swing the rod, you're generating more tip speed. You're moving more line. There's no negative aspect to that longer rod.
Yeah, I think with that good quality braid, Nick, you can throw it so damn far that extra rod length will help you with controlling that fish out in the end of a long cast, you know, a little bit better. But 6'10's plenty long enough. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But I'll let you. I think you did wheel mine around when we were out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm thinking, you know, depending on the brand, you know, we're all going to kind of be in that medium fast to medium extra fast, and we all kind of have a preference to extra fast.
I think extra fast is better.
Although I'm going to tell you, I'm not all hung up on that either.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm all right with fast.
I got no problem with fast. As a matter of fact, I have a pretty substantial spinning rod collection that I put together, and one of them that I have that I absolutely love throwing a ball head swim bait on is a Mega Bass shaky head rod.
Great rod, 6'10".
No, it's over 7.
No,
I believe.
I don't think so. I think it's
check that out for me.
Yeah, I am. I think it's a 6'10" for some reason.
That is I don't know what they call it. I would call it a fast taper. And, you know, again, that little bit softer tip with plenty of backbone lets that rod kind of load up, kind of loads down. Great hookup ratio. Great cushioning, a factor of fighting the fish. Another rod that I've well, there's a lot of them. I mean, 7-foot medium St. Croix, 7'1" medium St. Croix, 7'1" medium extra fast NRXs. I mean, you name it. 6'11". Yeah. Might be 7 foot.
It's 6'11". They think you got one right over there in that new pile of rods.
I don't think so.
Guys, question for you. What is you talked about hook size and all that stuff. What's your go-to weight? Because you got what? You got
I'd say an 1/8 ounce.
1/8 ounce?
1/8 ounce. We throw a lot of 1/8 ounce. But you match the weight to where the bait is. So if, you know, 8 ounce.
Plus wind and current.
Yeah, wind and current and stuff like that. So for us, where we're fishing mostly, it's going to be 1/8 ounce. But who's going to Racetown? You might end up throwing a 1/4 because those fish are going to be a little deeper. They're going to be in the 18 to 20 feet of water. So you might want a 1/4 or 3/16 to, you know, pendulum, because you know, if you're going to fish up there, you're going to be fishing suspended fish, and you might have to pendulum like this guy's doing with the Dominky rig, Gussie. All that is a glorified little.
We're going to go over
George's
that.
going to show it to you.
We're going to go over that next.
It's just you know, it's a different type of a swim bait type of presentation where you're just penduluming through the bait with a controlled pendulum. So it's funny because in here in the shop, George and I, we get the question all the time, you know, hey, what weight jig head do I need to have? Well, in any type of fishing, you need to have them all. 16th, 8th, 3/16 1/4, 3/8 and half. You got to have them all because you don't know what's going to happen. Now, as you know,
I can do without 16th.
People come in here and they say, well, this is where I'm fishing. I'll ask them, well, where are you fishing mostly? Well, I'm fishing this, and then we can specialize. Maybe all you need is 1/8 and 1/4 instead of 3. You know, maybe you can get away with not having 3/16. Just save them a little money. But as serious anglers, you have to have the full gamut. And then you got to have the 1-0, the 2-0, the 3-0, and the 4-0. You need to have it to match these hooks up to the right bait for the situation. Now, can you get away with a 1-0 and a 3-0? Absolutely. Absolutely. The more serious guy's going to have them all. He's going to have them all. He's going to have not only that, but he's going to have ball head, and he's going to have the swim bait style head too, with the eye and the painted body. And because, clear water, they want to.
Depends on the more the hook to me.
Yeah. But,
like I want a heavier,
like we're talking about Racetown Lake tonight. That's a clear, really super clear, lower end of that super clear body of water. So definition plays a little bit bigger role. I'm a big fan of that, like painted good quality eyes in a bait, that's why I think Megabass works so well up there, because the detail is there. The fish can see that and get different reflection of the light, and that reflection of the light sometimes is the key. So some of these swim bait heads with the eyes painted them, our jig head box weighs what?
Pretty heavy.
It's pretty damn heavy. It's like 20 pounds.
Well, the reason
that's a lot of jig heads.
The reason why I asked you about the weight is because almost every tactic that we talk about every week, we talk about you have to be on the ground. You have to feel the bottom. You have to feel the bottom. And then you talk about this one. This is a little different.
Yeah, it's totally different.
Yeah, totally different.
Yeah.
Well, and it's pretty easy to figure out the weight. I mean, I wouldn't get all too jacked out of shape on it. This time of the year, I don't care where you're fishing. Most of those shad are fairly shallow. And the fish are looking up. You want to stay above them. When the fish are on the shad, the fish are looking up. You want to stay above the fish. Most of these flats, you're not really concerned with fishing more than 5 or 6 feet deep. Some of the deeper, like suspended fish on creek channels, I'll argue that maybe this isn't the best technique for that. I certainly would try it.
So I think it's a great technique for suspended fishing. It's great technique for forward-facing sonars.
I certainly would try it, on the deeper fish. But if they're 15, 20 feet deep suspended, this is probably not the best technique for that. If it's 10 to 15, this is a player. If you're fishing shallow, like John Cox looks to me like he's fishing
5 to 10
feet of water.
Yeah. Well, he was. I think he moved out a little deeper.
I mean, this is straight up money for that. And when you get that little bit of wind,
that's the boot foot.
Yeah,
with
boot
the boot foot.
You get that little bit of wind and it breaks up that surface a little bit. This thing is deadly. And it catches all sizes. It catches all sizes. I can't emphasize this bait enough. The tackle shop guys cannot emphasize the importance of getting your game together on boot foot. We're going to call it boot foot jig head swim baits. Okay. Now the next thing we want to touch on a little bit, we're not going to gut this out because next week we have a very special guest coming on who is going to gut this out. They're just going to mention this because it's going on in this tournament. We're not going to really take this technique apart. These techniques are sort of hand in hand, but not really. Next week we have Cooper Gallant coming on the show. Coop, as his friends call him. The latest Canadian to storm the bass scene. He's coming on the show next week. We're gonna get to know Coop a little bit, and we are gonna discuss what Gussie calls mopping. You remember Gussie won a tournament, a tour level Elite Series tournament 2 years ago, I want to say, on the Tennessee River on what he calls mopping, which is kind of basically a Demiki rig, which, let's face it, there's 2 key ingredients to this. And we wanted to talk about this briefly because it's happening. And for those of you who are watching the tournament, this is what they are doing. And this will be very helpful for you to kind of learn this technique. And I would like to say you could probably apply this to about any place you fish, particularly this time of the year, because we get a lot of suspended fish on bait, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the key ingredient here, I'm going to try to hold this up here so you can see this. That ain't going to work. The key ingredient here is a 90-degree jig eye. All right. So that jig eye is forming a 90-degree angle with the shank of the hook. And the reason that's so important is our line is going to hold this hook horizontal. Okay? And we're putting on a variety of baits from the little baby Z2 to the Z2 to the Super Fluke Junior. I mean, I could go on and on. There's
a million of them.
There's 50 of them in this shop.
Yeah.
And basically you are, as Mike said earlier, penduluming this down through on a tight line. And a lot of times, as we said earlier, these fish will be under your boat, and then you're just.
A couple years ago, I started messing with that, because it was
right.
I forget where we were. I think it was at Racetown. I was because this place is crazy with that, and you got a pendulum. It's all on your cast, and we'll let these guys tell us next week. But
yeah, we're gonna let Cooper break it down.
It's all about the cast. I think I think he's gonna talk about a lot about that, getting it to drop to the right depth and
the tackle. The line weight. I found it very interesting that Gussie was talking about fishing 10-pound line.
Yeah.
And
there I can see that for a fall rate.
He generally fishes an 8.
Yeah, different fall rate.
But he wanted a 10 here. So and he put it to work, man. I mean, there's a lot of guys doing this at this tournament, and it's if you watch Gussie tomorrow on live, I'm sure camera will be in his boat because he's in 4th place. You'll get a seminar on this. And then next week, one of the things we'll do with Coop is pick his brain on it. And I'm sure he'll be a little free with his knowledge on that. So,
yeah. So there you have it.
That's kind of our technique section. What else you guys got? Last couple minutes before we wind this party up.
Being that we kind of tournament talking here.
Tournament talking.
Our own cameraman Nick took home the big trophy.
The bacon.
Tuesday night. Now, a little backstory on this. This boy, he was like, man, I'm catching these fish in practice. Me and my son, I've been taking him over. It's quick and easy, close to the house. I'm busy. I can go over there, fish quick. So he's been going over there and practicing and catching these fish, like 3-pounders, 2.5, 4-pounders. He's catching these fish. I see the pictures all the time posted up. But he goes to this Tuesday night tournament, which is a big deal. 40 boats. I mean, it's a big deal tournament. He goes these Tuesday nights and he just can't put it together. So he's like, I got to figure this out. So he's working hard, 2 weeks, working hard. I mean, maybe even 3 weeks, working hard. Comes home with the big W Tuesday night.
Awesome.
Him and his son. And his son is a hammer, man. He's catching them.
I gotta tell you guys something. So this is hilarious. Blue Marsh, as you guys know, I have a lot of history at Blue Marsh, but mostly in the spring. I don't like to go there in the summer too much because, as you know, it's crazy over there.
It's crazy.
But anyways, my son, he's 13 years old, and I know it's not going to be long that Dad's not cool anymore. So I got to fish with him as much as I can.
Absolutely.
And it's a great opportunity. He's very excited. I didn't think he'd be that excited about tournament fishing, but he is. And we've been going over there. The first 2 tournaments were more of a feel out, I would say, because I haven't fished over there for so long in the summer. And guys they're on a lot of the juice. Good for them. They're figuring it out and all that stuff. But the 3rd week was very funny because we had to leave early. My son, he's in the back of the boat and the bugs are out in full force.
Yeah.
And
you told us that one. I was like,
he's getting eaten alive. And next thing you know, we got to go. you know, and that. So this week I was real excited. I got the bug spray. We're good to go.
Hey, you're covered.
I launched the
Probably
boat.
wasn't a damn bug out, was it?
No. But I launched the boat, and this time here, the trim goes bad on my boat as I beach it. So now I can't move my trim up, which means I really can't move it down anymore because
getting it on the trailer.
Yeah. So I'm about even, you know, with your trim. Now it's making it hard for me to get up on plane.
Yeah.
I'm porpoising like an idiot going down the hill. People are yelling at me, but it really did. It came together. You know, my son had a great time. He the first fish, he lost the keeper.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, oh man, how are we going to do? You know,
yeah.
But then it all started to come together, and it was just a great night.
Well, he caught the biggest fish of the night.
He did. He caught, it was a very long smallmouth. It was really nice. Awesome. He did a great job.
Good
and
for
then
him.
we get
Good
to the
for
weigh in. He's like, Dad, do you mind if I just weigh these fish in? I'm like, have at it, bud.
Yeah.
You know? And he gets up there and he's like, hey, Dad, my legs are shaking. I'm like, well, that's a good thing, you know, bud. And then, you know, then it drives you nuts. You guys know this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people get to weigh in.
Yeah.
And your mind's telling you, if I caught him, everybody
caught him, right.
And next thing you know, there was one guy left. He had 3 fish for 7 something. We win. And my kid's first question was, Dad, half that money's mine, right? I'm like, oh yeah. So he was all about it.
What's the cut on that, Pop?
Yeah, right. So it was a great time. I do appreciate everybody that follows SFT. They were wonderful. You guys put that post out. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was a great time.
Yeah. Cameraman Nick and his son bringing home the
bacon.
Bringing home the representing.
I did want to throw a tidbit out with that. On Pre-Tackle Shop Live, one of the bait my son was throwing, because he did do well.
Yeah.
Everybody already knows what I throw.
Yeah.
But he was throwing one of the little generals in I think it is a brown cinnamon. color.
Yeah.
And I showed that on Pre-Tackle Shop Live, how we set it up for him.
Yeah.
Because you got to have kids throw something they can catch fish with.
Yeah.
And that's a great way.
Have some action.
Yeah.
Keep them interested.
Yep.
Well,
it was a great time.
Congratulations, Nick.
Yeah, perfect.
Appreciate it.
I knew it was going to come. Because I seen in your eyes, you were like, I got to figure this out.
Oh,
This is because I'm asking Nick, hey, Nick, where'd you go fishing this weekend? Oh, I went over to Blue Marsh. It's quick and easy. I said, no, he's just trying to figure out some juice, man.
Well, the one week, I think it was after the second week, you're like, I come in the tackle shop. You're like, hey, Nick, heard you got whooped up pretty good this week. I'm like, oh, it's game on now.
Absolutely. Well, good job, buddy.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, I don't have anything else. We're gonna cut her off right now. But I would say, listen, you guys are great, absolutely unbelievable customers, unbelievable supporters of Tackle Shop Live. We really, really appreciate it. Really appreciate to see all the same people jumping on, some new faces every single show. It's a great showing. Just throw us some emails, drop us a line, get on our social media and let us know what you guys want to see. Topics. George and I are running out of stuff.
Never.
Never. But we don't want to beat a dead horse, so we can go into all these other things and really kind of dissect them more. But we want to know if you guys want to see anything in particular, let us know, and we will try to work it out and see what's going on. We do have some great guests coming up, as George said. Cooper Glott next week on Thursday night. And then we're working on some other guys from Daiwa. We're hoping to see a couple guys from there. We got a whole lineup of guys we're going to start throwing in here. And what's nice about talking with them is you get the right guy in here, man. It's just neat listening to what they have to say. We're all tackle junkies. These guys are super tackle junkies. And when they get on here, we want to know their setup. So that's what we're going to be doing.
Well, let's wind her up.
Yeah.
Boys.
So thank you very much, everybody, for stopping by, and we will see you next time on Tackle Shop Live.